we are asked to label the dimensions of the rectangular prism. Now don't forget that each cube is 1 centimeter on all sides. So it is a unit cube. Now to find the length, we are going to count the cubes from the side in front of us in the first layer like that. We will find that they are how many? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are 4 cubes. Now since the dimensions of the cube are 1 centimeter in all directions, so these 4 cubes have a total length of what? 4 centimeter. So the length of the rectangular prism is 4 centimeters. Now we're going to record it next to the length. Let's check. This is the length, so I'm going to write 4 centimeters. Now the second dimension, which is the what? It's the width. It is represented by the number of cubes on this side like that. So how many cubes are there? Let's count. 1, 2, 3. So these are 3 cubes. So the width of the rectangular prism is 3 centimeters. Let's record it over here beside the width, like that. Now the third dimension of the height is what? Let's check. 1, 2, 3. It's also 3 because we have 3 cubes on top of each other over here like that. So the height of the rectangular prism is going to be what? 3 centimeters, and let's record it together like that. Now we have identified the 3 dimensions of the rectangular prism in front of us, which are what? The length, the width, and the height. Now these are the same dimensions shown in the next rectangular prism, which is in question number 2 over here. In this question, we are asked to decompose this shape into layers, like problem 1. But first, let's ask ourselves a question. Now, what dimensions that tells us how many layers there are in the problem? Now, it is certainly the height. This is the height. Why? As we just have counted the number of cubes on top of each other, right, to calculate the height. This means that we will divide the prism into layers. Let's check. So if this is my prism like that, the height divides it into layers. And this will be the same number of layers as in problem 1, which is what? Let's count. 1, 2, 3. Now, well, can we calculate the volume by multiplying the area of one face by the height? Now, before answering that, we must know that in order to calculate the total volume of the rectangular prism, we can repeat the number of cubes in each layer according to the number of layers. So the number of cubes in one layer can be counted from the upper layer, which is visible to us in problem 1, which is what? Let's check like that, which is what? 12. And we can repeat it 3 times like that. So what will I have? 12 plus 12 plus 12. So like that, I will have 36 cubes. So I can do it like that. 12 plus 12 plus 12, which is 36 cubes. Like that. Or we can think that the shape of the layer here is a rectangle with the dimensions what? 4 and 3. So this means that its area is equal to the length times the width, which is 4 times 3. Again, it will be equal to what? 12 cubes. And the number of layers is what? 3, which helps us represent the height. Now, instead of adding the area 3 times, what can we do? We can multiply it by 3, which is the height. Again, one more time. 12 times 3 will also be equal to what? 36 cubes as well. So again, I will get the 36. So, which is the same volume that we have already calculated. Now, the answer to the question that we asked is clear for us. We can actually calculate the volume by multiplying the area of one face by the height. So the multiplication problem we write to represent the method of calculating the volume using the layers is the answer to this question. Now let's write the multiplication problem that we have in more details. So I can write it over here like that. 4 times 3, right? Times the 3, which is the height. And this will be equal to 36 cubic centimeters. Let's write the cubic. Let's write it one more time. It was 4 times 3 times 3 equal to 36 cubic centimeters. Now this was the end of question 1. In problem 3, what do we have? Let's check. This was question 2, I'm sorry. In problem 3, what do we have? We will find the same rectangular prism with the same dimensions. But this time, we are asked to decompose it into slices. So what do we notice? We will notice in the figure here that is divided into what? Let's check. When we go over here, it's divided into 4 slices. Well, we can calculate the volume by what? By multiplying the area of one face by the length. Again, before we answer this question, we must know that we are going to repeat the number of cubes in one slice according to the number of slices. Let's look at this figure like that. Now, the dimensions of the slice each are what? Let's check. 3 by 3, right? So what do we see? This is going to be what? We're going to multiply it. There are 9 cubes in each slice. And we are going to repeat them how many times? 4 times, according to the number of slices. So what do we see? We're going to get 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, which is equal to 36. Let's write it together. Right? Now we can think of the slices as what? 3 times 3. And this means it's the area of one face, like that. Right? So this is equal to what? This is the face, which is equal to what? The length times itself. Right? Which is what? 3 times 3. And this is going to be equal to 9. Right? 9 cubes in each slice. And the number of slices that we have is going to be what? Is 4, which represents the length. So instead of adding it 4 times like that, we're going to multiply it by 4, which is the length. So I'm going to multiply it by 4. So now I will have 9 times 4, which is 36. And what is the unit? Cubes. Now, it is the same volume that we have already calculated. So, we can actually calculate the volume when we multiply the area of one face, which represents the area of the slice this time, by the length. So, what multiplication problem can we write to represent this method of calculating the volume using the slices? It's exactly the one that we wrote. Let's repeat it one more time. So, we wrote 3 times 3, and then times 4, which is equal to 36 cubic centimeters. Now, what did you notice in the equations of problem 2 and 3? When I asked my students this question, they said that they noticed in the 2 examples the following: that we can calculate the volume by multiplying the area of one face by the number of layers or slices. And this is a correct observation. I told them that the mathematicians use a formula to calculate the volume that we can indicate to it using the symbol V by multiplying the length by the width by the height. So we are going to write it over here. So the volume is equal to the length times the width times the height, like that. Now we do not need to count the cubes each time to calculate the what? The volume. Now I will give you time to solve problem 4 in the same way that we concluded.
تقدر تتابع كل دروسك على تطبيق مدرستنا بلس. مدرستنا، المستقبل يبدأ الآن.